We're so excited because this is our first podcast of our fifth season. I can't believe that we've been doing this for 5 years. And I have a very special guest today. It's the beginning of the year. We know we're all looking, we've kind of had come out of all of the holidays and the gift giving, but now we get to look forward to what's next. And my guest today is an expert, Debbie Dotson, and she is a professor. She's also a coach on different things in AgeTech. She is an expert on cybersecurity, which is really interesting. And she's also the host of Let's Talk Tech with Debbie, which appears on local access cable televisions in Fresno, but also on Village TV here in Southern California in my area. So, Debbie, I'm thrilled to have you on today. Tell us all the latest stuff that's out there.
Well, thank you, Sherri, for having me. I'm so excited. Anytime I see technology, my antenna go up and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, well, I have to tell the audience, I was so grateful. You reached out to me last year and asked me to be on your show for Village TV, and we had a really great discussion. And so you were the first person that popped into my head when I knew CES was coming up, and I knew this is kind of your area of expertise. So we're just thrilled to have you tell us what are the latest trends and things that are out there that can help older adults who are both active, but also for us family caregivers who are helping to care for our older loved ones. But first question always is, where are we talking to you from today?
I'm actually sitting in my home office in Fresno, California today, I've been focusing more time up here than I spend an extraordinary amount of time in Orange County, but I'm at home in my
Right,
home office.
that's your home base. Well, and before we launch into everything, just quickly tell us a little bit about your background because you've really been, an expert in this for many, many years.
Yeah, I worked in healthcare for 16 years, and at an executive administration level in a clinical situation. And then I decided to go like to a totally different realm and got into technology. So I've been working in different areas of technology, mostly instructional technology, for almost 20 years now. So it's been quite the road. People always say, well, you're such a tech person. I'm really not like you would think. I have to learn things. It takes me time to learn, but the thing that differentiates me is that I will learn something. And if somebody asks me a question and I don't know what it is, I'll go out and learn it.
Well, and I love all of your videos, and we're going to make sure we have links on our episode guide page to all the ways that our listeners can watch you and learn more about stuff you do. But you always really explain things so well. I think sometimes, it's just hard for us to figure out, like, okay, what does this mean? How does this work? And all that stuff. But, as I mentioned at the beginning of the year, CES, the big, huge consumer electronics show, and we had
Crazy.
Steve Ewell on our podcast, I think it was a year ago, to give us a preview of CES, but it's a huge show that focuses on all the latest tech that's coming and all the things that we should be thinking about. And AgeTech has really taken on a big spotlight at the show. I know ARP has a huge booth now, and the AgeTech Collaborative from ARP has a big presence there. But tell us what you're seeing in terms of the big trends and some of the innovative products that are coming out of all of this stuff.
Well, there were 4,500 booths and 140,000 people this year at CES.
Wow.
So if you just think about that, but they had things from, autonomous vehicles, AI, mattresses, pet care, beauty, sustainability items. So, it's spread out over many areas of Las Vegas, and the Age Tech Collaborative, which is something ARP spearheaded a few years ago, that tries to put all the more aging in place and things that have to do with aging in one location, which makes it a little bit easier. But interestingly enough, for me, I find things outside of that as well that I feel would be appropriate. And so I found a lot of really great things, a lot of cognitive function tools that had to do with like VR headsets. And I'm going to talk about some of the specifics, but a lot about, the social emotional part, the isolation that some seniors, and so robotic animals, different things that interact at home. There's those things just to improve our lives as we age. I heard a startling statistic this morning, that in the next 40 years, the cases of dementia are going to double.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, everything that's out there that can improve and help or keep us, you talk a lot about brain health. So, there's a lot of products that help there. It would take me, well, last year when I did the CES show for my show, it was 4 episodes. So today I have, I can
We're
only
going to ask you to
condense.
squeeze it all in. I know in just a few minutes, which is so tough. And you mentioned the Alzheimer's and dementia. And we do know that the prevalence and the cases are increasing as we're living longer. And everybody, I think, is really now in tune with not just, okay, I might have to care for someone with dementia or Alzheimer's, but also our own brain health, as you kind of mentioned. So I want to
Mhm.
kind of jump into, you had some favorites on your list that you mentioned to
Right.
me. We're going to try to get through all of them. But I wanted to start with the toothbrush because you were just saying it's probably at
Oh,
the top of your list.
yeah, so the toothbrush was later on in this, but I'll go there now. The toothbrush is a new innovation, and it looks like a standard. You'll show a picture, but it looks like a standard electric toothbrush. But instead it looks like a mouthpiece, like a mouth guard, and it has brushes in it. And so you hold it and you put it into your mouth, 10 seconds on the top, turn it over, 10 seconds on the bottom. And so in 20 seconds, you get a full toothbrushing. And, just from people who have ambulatory problem, not ambulatory, but, with their
Arthritis,
hands and
maybe.
things, and,
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
able just to hold it in place and have it, and rather than brushing your teeth, or caregivers who are, trying to brush people's, teeth as they're giving their care. So I was just fascinated by that, and I am so hopeful that they will send me one to show on my show in an upcoming episode. But I'd love to give it a try. But they've got FDA backing. They've got a lot of stuff. So it's new. You can't go out and buy it yet. But sometime this
That's
year you'll be
coming.
able to buy it.
Yeah. This is a preview of things to come.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right. And that's the thing. Some of the things I'm going to talk about are available now, and some will be available either later this year. Last year, when I went, I saw a lot of things that are in the innovator section that are finally coming. So it's taking time. I mean, obviously, time and money, right?
Right.
But I think from, like, if we roll back a little to the cognitive side, there was a therapy item that was from a South Korean company called EYAS. EYAS, and it was a digital therapy platform. So it's more of a software, but they use a headset. And so it helps patients with mild cognitive impairment, and even younger people with ADHD, and it uses a proprietary tech to track your eye movement,
Hmm.
and your progress as you improve. And then it runs through this therapy games and helps them with brain function. I found that to be quite interesting, and cutting edge with cognitive therapy.
So does that
Um, you
kind of
know,
fit into what we're calling kind of the gamification of health, where we're kind of fusing
A
entertainment and
little
health
bit, but
benefits?
like
Okay.
pre-dementia. So like you know how you talk about brain, and we looked at brain games when you were on my show. This
Sure.
is kind of along that same line, but it would be more administrated in a clinical setting rather than it's not really like a home use. Whereas the brain games and the online tools, those are more, anybody can use them type of thing.
Sure.
Um, Another thing I saw that was really interesting was this product called Lucid by Resonance RX, and it's a proprietary therapeutic AI engine, and it uses a radio style stream of music to support mental well-being. So they have audio streams that can be layered, so they can have beat simulation and help with relaxation. So they're using, and it also has a remote therapeutic component. So a home-based person or homebound person could use this, and it could transmit to whoever's providing their cognitive therapy. So you have cognitive, behavioral, emotional assessments that can help their provider track and monitor that progress. I've found that. So it's called Lucid AI.
Okay.
And that was really cool. So that's what and there were a lot of products like that. Okay, so
Sure.
between the cognitive games, VR games, AI, lots of things with the cognitive side of things. But then I saw a lot of things that were like for your vision and hearing. And so there was one, there were several standouts in the visual section to me. And I have bad eyes. And I have family members with macular degeneration. So anytime I see things that are going to improve a patient's life or a person's life with regards to their vision, because we all rely so much on our vision.
Yeah.
There's a company called Lumen, and there's more than one Lumen. This is a European company that's a research startup. They came from a family where a lot of their members have disabilities, and so they started looking at assistive technology. They have glasses that replicate the features of a guide dog. So
Interesting.
that means
Okay.
you wouldn't need a seeing eye dog. Now that there's, that's kind of for me, that's a double-edged sword. And I'll tell you why. I feel like, a guide dog provides that social interaction, right? And
Right.
comfort to a person. And last year I saw a device that actually was like a robotic thing that you could use for your, with for visual help. But this one is, they make guide dog. They're saying, it's a $500 million training cost, and there's only 2,000 guide dogs that they can train per year.
Okay.
So, with all the visually impaired, this is like something they could use if they are waiting for their guide dog, or
Okay.
for whatever reason they can't have a guide dog. This simulates having a guide dog with a headset. And it's a glasses based item. So you would wear it. And I thought it uses something like autonomous cars.
Okay.
So the same
So
kind of
is it
thing like,
telling you like there's a curb or how does it work exactly? I'm
yeah,
curious.
it's exactly that. So it uses it works on the autonomous driving AI, but it doesn't require internet connectivity or pre-mapping. So it tells them, there's a curb, there's a light, there's whatever. Just imagine one of those Waymo cars, sitting in the back of one of those Waymo cars, and how it's able to drive and stop at lights and stop for people. The glasses are doing the same thing, and they're telling you.
Right. Well, and
So
I want to just interject really quickly. I have a question on that, and I know you probably have some more on your list. I don't want to interrupt that, but some of the self driving cars, of course, we've seen some of the stuff where there was something lately on the news where the guy got caught in the back and couldn't get this car to stop, whatever, and
right.
it kept making circles in the parking lot. I mean, obviously, the technology is still being tweaked and perfected. Do you have any concerns over that when we start getting into things like these
Sure.
eyeglasses for people? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I definitely would say that until I went freely wearing them, as a blind person, I would want to really make sure that they worked. I
Right.
will say that, we're talking about technology. Technology glitches. So nothing is ever going to be foolproof when it comes to technology. But I will say that the actual technologies have improved. So yes, the guy did get stuck in the back of the car, but I feel like in the sense of Lumen, they're testing it. Again, that's one of those it's coming type of things. So I think
Okay.
they'll probably do a wide scale look at everything before that. But
Right.
yeah, they could fail, and
And
that
it's
does concern me. But I also know that if it's the difference between having give that person some freedom that they might not have had without it, then to me it
Yeah,
outweighs the pros and the cons. It's the pros and the cons.
definitely that independence, that mobility. You're absolutely right. And it is the future. Let's face it, right? It is,
Yeah,
it may not be perfect today, but it's coming. It's what we're
it's
going to all
coming,
do.
and it may never be 100% perfect, but nothing is. So
Right.
the other thing I saw was, and this was the macular degeneration in diabetic retinopathy. It was called eSight Go, and they're also new in 2025. They're a digital low vision assistive device, and they will help with people who have, central vision loss, like macular degeneration. And so, it's a high definition camera, and it captures continuous video footage. So the footage gets optimized and enhanced before it comes on the glasses themselves.
Okay.
And you can have prescription lenses as well. So if you're, and I think about my aunt because she has a device that's similar to this, but it's not wearable. She gets her mail and she has a camera, like a document camera that she can use, and it puts it on screen so that she can read it.
Okay.
This is something she could now wear all the time.
Okay.
And they're lightweight glasses. They are worn, you can wear them all day. They have built-in controls, and they have a battery pack that lasts about 3 hours right now. So hopefully in the future, they that would extend. But
Sure.
when I saw that, I was like, oh, can I get a pair,
Right.
for her to try?
Right.
And then the other thing was, there was another company called Solid Vision, and they claim to have the first true vision correction for people that have macular degeneration. And then theirs worked in an interesting way too. They had it like a lens that had a fly's eye, so it projects inside the glasses multiple images, so that the places where their retina isn't damaged, it would clear it up for them. So the brain would construct the 3D image by looking at these glasses. I know that's a little complicated, but it brings the multiple images into a single field image,
Okay.
which, if that works, makes it feel like normal in focus sights, which is just
Wow.
fabulous. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
And
The
the,
fact that we can address some of these things, oh my gosh, so great. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
and
Keep going.
and then I went to the ears, because hearing is a big issue as you age, right?
Yep. Yep.
And there are so many out there. I picked one. I picked one because one of the new things that's coming is not just for people with hearing issues, but AI translation that you can wear in your ears when you travel. And
Okay.
I didn't mention earlier, but I also do travel show on Senior Travel.
That's
Um,
right.
and and so for me, when I see this, I got perked up, because they're Bluetooth hearing aids that come with a smart app, and they have volume adjusting, AI translation. They have tinnitus masking, which for me, I have ringing ears. If that masks my ringing ears, I would be so grateful. It has telephone speech enhancement. And then this translation now through, so you can be talking to someone in a totally different language and it's translating for you.
Oh my gosh.
I
So it's like you're at
Yeah,
the UN, right? Listening
yeah,
to everybody talking. You're being, it's being
exactly. It's like,
translated for you. That's really cool.
yep.
I
Isn't
love
that
that.
cool? And
Yeah.
it's got, it'll offer this global communication and transcend language barriers. And there's more than just this particular company. Again, I picked one, but there's multiple options out there. But I think there are just headphones that are simply AI translators. So if you don't have a hearing issue, that's available. They all work through an app though, so it's not like they're independent of your phone. So I,
Sure.
I have had that come up before, where people are telling me, well, how does it just translate in the device? No, no, it needs a computerized and an internet to
You
make
need
that
that
translation.
app. Yeah.
Yeah, like almost like Google Translate, but it might not be Google Translate.
Right, right, exactly. Well, this all sounds great. I mean, so much insight, and I know that's just the tip of the iceberg, Debbie. One of the things I wanted to ask you is, very often with a lot of these great innovations, the companies are either selling them themselves on their own website. I know some of them do, get picked up by the Best Buys of the world and other places, but sometimes they're really hard to find. What's your suggestion to people? I mean, we don't, as just average family caregivers, people out there caring for an old loved one, we don't see they're not advertising. We don't hear
Right.
about it. You and I talk about it in our little circles and stuff, but people find out about these things, and then where can they go to buy them?
Right. So that's a great question. Some of them come on Amazon. Most of them, once they come to market, will come on Amazon. Not all of them. A lot of them will sell direct in the beginning, direct to consumer type of thing on the internet. If you consider like a Shark Tank thing where they come on and they're like, how do I get out there? Just the question you just asked me.
Right.
But it really boils down to research. What I do when I actually I will be having episodes where I'm going to talk about these in more depth. I will do my best at the end of my show to have a link to where you can go to buy the
Right.
ones that I'm talking about. But yeah, in fact, the Best Buys of the world are not always going to be where you're finding it. And
I know. And we'd
I
like to
hate
have
to
them on the show, but it's like, come on.
Yeah, I hate to promote Amazon, but I mean it right now that is your place to get things.
Yeah,
But a lot of these that I'm talking about now, right now, because they're not, typically necessarily out for sale, it may be months before you can actually purchase one.
sure.
Although one of the things that I saw, and I don't remember which one I was going to talk about, it was very inexpensive, I thought, in comparison. Oh, it's a a cap that goes on your diabetes insulin pen that allows it to keep the temperature, because I guess temperature extremes with insulin is a problem.
Sure.
So this is called the ViviCap, and it was about $114.
Right.
And it goes right on your insulin pen to keep it secure, and it also monitors what it gives you. So it's got you have a hassle-free insulin protection and management.
Okay.
It's like a little cap that talks to the app. So I thought that was pretty cool. A couple of fun things that I saw. Well, one that was interesting, and I know we're almost out of time. Carapod is a coffee maker that takes the air and turns it into water for the coffee.
Oh, wow.
That was cool. And then another company called Wonder, which has Bird Buddy. This was awesome. Bird Buddy has a smart bird feeder, a smart hummingbird feeder, and a smart bird bath. And the camera is there, so you can watch the birds on your phone or your mobile device. So when the
Oh,
birds come up, and hummingbirds, I'm a hummingbird lover, and I want one. I'm going to make sure I go out of my way to get the interactive hummingbird feeder with the
I
camera so
love
I can
that.
watch them. Isn't that
Yeah.
great?
Right, buddy. I love that. That is great. We're gonna have to definitely. We'll have photos of these. I know you're gonna share some of
Yeah.
your photos and things
It's
with us, which is really great. You know, so we were talking about kind of where we find things, and again, what do we know that we don't know, right? How do we learn about these things? Obviously, we're gonna have links to your show because you're one of the gurus out there that people should check. They should look at
right.
your segments and things and find out more about some of these stuff. Couple just quick questions before we have to go, but
Sure.
any companies that stand out in your mind or retailers that stand out who do a really good job at customer service? So often the customer service is either just a chat, bot or whatever. People like sometimes to talk to someone, but they also have questions that, when we're not a digital native and we're older, we need to kind of maybe be walked through some stuff. What are your recommendations for helping older adults to really understand this technology, but also get good customer service?
Well, I think the company-wide customer service is, and I hate to say this, is not good. But I did meet a company last year, and I actually had her on my show. It's called the Smarter Service. It's a concierge service for technology. And
Okay.
they have varying rates of monthly subscriptions. But they're there to help you with technology. So, like, let's say you bought one of these things, or you told them that you wanted to buy something, they would go and they would help you find it, learn it, use it. And they actually are a lot of senior communities have now instituted it's called the Smarter Service. A lot of companies have, like resident facilities have them now. And they're growing. They're relatively new company, but I love what they have to offer because they hire people who understand a mature adult who may not be tech savvy and can really help. And so that makes a difference to me.
Oh, I
But
love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they're
That's
the
a
ones
gold
that,
mine.
and that's that they stand out to me because that's a service that's not readily available. And the other thing I would say is Senior Planet, which is part of AARP. They have regular classes every single day, and they also have a lot of groups where you can post questions. Like
Okay.
somebody was asking about something about AI the other day on one of the groups. And these are free. These, AARP things online are all free.
Right.
I'm actually doing a presentation next month for them online again. I've done several already. I'm going to talk about using AI tools and apps for travel, but
Cool.
they have everything. So I would say that those are the two that stand out to me.
Okay.
There are other things online, questions and answers, but a lot of times people, if they're not tech savvy, they don't know how to go online and find the groups that can answer their questions.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. And I'll just do a quick shout out to, we've had Lawrence Kosick he's founder of Get Set Up, which is an
mhm.
online learning platform. I know they do a lot of different classes on technology for adults, 50 plus, and you can take one of those classes. So sometimes it might be a little bit more generic. It's not specific to a certain product, but at least they
Right.
can kind of guide you and help you through stuff like that, which is really great. I know we're coming close on our time. I wanted to just also ask you quickly that, AI, right? We all talk about artificial intelligence. It's everywhere. I feel like there's nothing now that doesn't really incorporate some kind of AI. And I
Right.
saw a really interesting news story. I think it was on CNN, and they were talking about the fact that, everybody's integrating AI into whatever they're doing. But consumers are a little bit like, wait a minute. And I think it's obviously a trust, a privacy issues, some other stuff. What are your thoughts on AI? Good, bad, both? What are you thinking?
I'm probably going to say something that some people may disagree with, but I love AI.
Okay.
And I use it every day. I use it
Okay.
every day in a multitude of ways. It is so wonderful for organizing your thoughts, research. There, in the counterpoint about privacy. At
Right.
this day and age, there's nothing private. Okay. You're your best firewall, keeping your own information, making sure your bank accounts are secure, not clicking on links, avoiding, doing the things to avoid scams. That's the only way to protect yourself. But your privacy and what you do, your data is currency in cyberspace.
Yeah. I mean, if
And
you use
so
a credit card, they're tracking where you're going and what you're
everything,
doing, right? Yeah.
every single thing, your phone is listening. And there's not much you can do about it unless, even I used to say you could go live in the mountains and never log in, and you can't really, nowadays you can't even do that. Everybody has a digital footprint. So that would be my thing is AI is here. Understand it, educate yourself about what AI does. It's a generative learning. It's machine learning. It learns from what you do. It takes its steps from what you ask it, and it grows and learns about you. For example, I use chat gpt almost every day. Chat gpt now knows when I ask it a question, it gives me an answer that is specific to me, because it knows me now. It kind of knows my habits, or if it'll give me an answer and I'll say, no, that's not what I wanted. How about this? It learns from that. Is it
Right.
scary? it's scary, but if you think about back in the day when we saw the Jetsons in the cartoon, do you know
Right.
all the things on the Jetsons are pretty much, they're already old school
I
now.
and Star Trek too. Somebody told
Yeah.
me that everything that appeared in Star Trek we're pretty much using in our lives today.
Except we can't just teleport yet, but
Yeah,
it's coming.
it's coming.
Um, but there was a thing last year I saw at CES, a hologram machine. But yeah, I mean, I feel like education is your best defense against fear.
Yeah. Well, and
And
I love what you said, AI will it'll personalize it to you. So often we're up against a one size fits all mentality or information, and we really want it to be customized, right, for us. So I guess you have to you get the personalization, that's a benefit. You protect your
right,
own privacy issues, that's what you were
mhm.
saying. You have to be but
You have to
it's something
be.
that can help. Yeah,
Yeah, it's got more benefit than harm.
the
Maybe
downside.
that will
Yeah.
change at some point. I mean, I know that the people who have created a lot of these AI tools like ChatGPT or Google Gemini, I know that they're constantly talking about the ethical side of things. Um, where does it stop? I don't know. But I do know that right now, AI on face value is very beneficial to many people.
Right.
And
Well,
and
and in
so
healthcare, again, it's
mhm,
really it is giving more of that personalized information, helping us get more precise, I think, in diagnosing and all kinds of things, which is great.
right.
The other night I was flipping through some channels and I happened to catch that scene from 2001 Space Odyssey where Hal takes over. And big fear for all of us who are a little older, right?
Right. And that's kind of like that. I mean, there was recently, and I want to say it was Oprah Winfrey did a show on AI, um, the good, bad, and ugly. You know, I do think if people want to watch that, I'm sure it's on YouTube or one of the streamings now. But I watched it, and I thought what they presented was good.
Yeah,
It talked about it's coming, how to the fear of it. Yeah, there are downsides to everything, but I think you just have to use it. And my hope is always that it's going to be used for good rather than evil.
right.
That there are, people are using AI though. The granny scam. I just, in fact, my current episode is that's coming in February is. I show AI Granny, where she actually talks to the scammers on the phone, and she'll just keep them going for like an hour. And
Oh, I
that's
love that.
it's all AI. She
So
just
you
talks
can
about her
mess with
cat.
the scammers. That is something I could get behind,
Yeah,
definitely.
and that was
Well,
pretty fun.
Debbie, we could talk to you for a whole nother hour. There's so much out there, but we're going to have a lot of links to all of your information where people can watch you and learn a lot more. And we'll have you back too to talk about the travel side of what you do
Oh,
because that's
sure.
fascinating. But tell us, where people can find your information or watch you and all those great things.
So I'm on Instagram and YouTube under the @ symbol Let's Talk Tech 949. I have a Facebook page, Let's Talk Tech. I don't have a website, but on my travel website, I have a page for some Let's Talk Tech stuff. But primarily, and then Village Television, they post all of my shows. They produce for me, so that they're the first point. And then now I'm on CMAC, so really I'm kind of all over the place. I have my Gmail for Talk Tech is talktech949 @gmail, and I'm happy for people to send me questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. I do this all as a volunteer. So, that's why why don't I have a website? Well, a website's a lot of work and a lot of money.
It is.
Um, and so I do mostly all these things. I'll post a link to my show on my Facebook page, or if I hear
Right.
about something, I put tech tips on my Facebook
Well,
page. If
we'll
something,
have
important.
all of those links to you. And I just, again, Debbie, before we get cut off, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on to tell us what's the latest in all these tech trends. It's been great.
Well, thank you, Sherri. I really had fun, and it went so fast.
It did. It did. We'll do it again. I promise.